Hello, Buttercup. Welcome back to my channel. Today's author-focused video is the 3 different editing services and their definitions. I have seen 4 types of editing services and also 6 types of editing services, but I think those get really specific, and honestly, the 6 different type of editing services are a bit much, so I'm focusing generally on the 3 most popular types of editing services, and I will mention the 4th that kind of sort of connects to 2 of the editing services. Yes, it gets a little weird like that, but that's why I'm creating this video, so you all are on the same page about editing services. I'll be going over the services in order of what you, an author, would hire in order of appearance. So the first one would be developmental editing, also known as dev edits. This is often the most expensive due to either how many words are involved, how in-depth that editor goes, and also which editor you choose. Some are going to be very, very expensive with their dev edits. I've seen up to $7,000. That is a bit much. Don't do that, okay? But I have seen normal range for about, let's just go with 65,000 words, about $1,000 for developmental edits if you need a lot of work or above average work on your novel. This edit focuses on, does your story make sense? Is there an character arc, and does it make sense in your genre? Are you hitting your genre expectations? Are you hitting your subgenre expectations? Are there any plot holes? Are you hitting the beats of your genre slash subgenre, or are you not? So on and so forth. I will give an example from my own personal experience with developmental edits. My 3rd book, The Two Foxes, my editor at the time, Sarah, read through the document and she pointed out that this one character was just there. You don't need her. She adds nothing to the story. Take her out. And then she stated that a particular magical ability did not make sense and it just did not need to be there. And she laid out what to do about that. I listened, and the story is better. So I took out that character that didn't need to be there, and I took out that random magical ability that I pantsed, and the story is better without those 2 things. If I left those 2 things in, well, you know, I honestly, looking back, it would not be good. So that would be an example of a developmental edit. But you can definitely get way more in depth. It just happened to be that those 2 things needed to go and then everything else was fine. And what happened there was I took out those 2 things that did not need to be there, and then I wrote out everything else. I basically rewrote the second half of that book, and then I sent it back to Sarah, and she reread the whole thing again, and it was thumbs up. Number 2, line edits, also called copy edits, though there are some people who say they're different. We'll get to that later. Line edits means going line by line, cleaning up each sentence for better flow, clarity, and keeping the pace moving appropriately. Usually developmental editors do line edits as well. Line editing is also cleaning up the overuse of words and phrases. It's really focusing on your use of language in minute detail to tell your story clearly after you do developmental editing and clean up the basics of your story. Type 3 of editing services that are popular, proofreading. This is often skipped over to save money for indie authors, but please don't, because this is all about finding and fixing typos and incorrect punctuation and grammar. It's pretty basic. This proofreader just goes through and fixes all your little mistakes. But I have read, yes, I have read one too many self-published and small press books that have typos on every page. It's not good. It's not a good look. Will some creep through? Absolutely. The average that I have seen, actually I've seen two, so the average that is appropriate is either one typo per 10,000 words or one typo per 15,000 words. If that's about what you have in your novel, then that's appropriate. If you have more than that, it's not a good look. You don't want reviews saying this could have been a great book, but it's good or not so great because there are so many typos it distracted me and I couldn't finish the book, or I finished the book but I just couldn't focus. That's not what you want. You don't want that. You want people to see your story shining through with little to no typos. Bonus type of edit, number 4, because I mentioned it at the beginning and there's contention over it. Copy editing. Line editing comes first and then you copy edit. Copy editing is looking at the language used in the manuscript and follows the rules of standard English and adheres to a style guide. And that also kinda sorta sounds like proofreading, because that's true, especially that part where I mentioned fixing grammar and punctuation issues. I think copy editing usually splits itself between line editing and proofreading depending on the editor, which is kind of a pain. It is. But that's why you should ask your editor or potential editor about how they edit if you're looking for an editor. One of the best ways to get a legit one is to ask fellow writers, especially in your genre or subgenre. Ask for a sample edit and give them a chapter other than the first chapter, because hot tip, the first chapter's usually the best because you have gone over it many times, versus how many times have you gone over, say, chapter 21? Oh, probably like 2. Chapter 1, 10 times. So it'd be a better sample edit to send over a later chapter compared to giving them the first chapter, but it's up to you, of course. I have heard the give a potential editor a later chapter dozens upon dozens of times, so I recommend that, but it's of course up to you and what you feel comfortable doing. If you need anything regarding editors, please leave your comment down below. I have quite a few that I can recommend that are legit. Though if they are busy, they are going to possibly say no or move you to a later date. But if that happens, definitely ask them, do you have another editor that you can recommend that can get this book edited in XYZ time frame? And they will most likely be happy to do that. So keep in mind, you are hiring a service and you get to ask questions. Whatever questions that come up, please ask them. If they are put off by that, or if they are rude or passive aggressive or just like outright aggressive, do not work with them. There are plenty of very respectful, professional, kind editors out there, and you want to find the editor that works best for you. Thank you so much for watching my video on the 3 different types of editing services and how they differ, plus a bonus. I'll see you in the next video. Have a great rest of your day, reading, writing, whatever you do for self-care. Bye.